contract services. This is a really big one. I see lots of models come through where they're really next to nothing in contract services. But one of the big things, first up out of the gate, does it have common enclosed hallways or open air breezeways? If it has common enclosed hallways, that means it's got to be cleaned. It's got to be vacuumed on a regular basis. It's got if there's carpeting, the carpeting has to be shampooed. There's all these pieces that go into keeping that hallway nice and clean for your residents. But also with COVID now, there's all the amenities and common areas that you have to consider for all the disinfecting and sprays and all of that. That's a new one that got us, in 2020 that we're all planning for next in 2021. We're trying to cover that. Swimming pools. There's every local area has its own regulations. Marion County in Indianapolis, Indiana, requires that the pool water be tested 3 times a day, 3 times. Other locales don't require it, but what we say is, you want safety. Your insurance company, right, JT, is going to say, what? Yeah, you need to be testing that water. So while there might not be a local requirement, your insurance company and risk assessment team is always going to be looking that way. The life safety items, I want to talk about that really quickly because this is left out of so many deals. The good news is if you underwrite the life safety items listed here, you can in your first year, well, talk to your accountant, but most will find if you classified this as a project, an acquisition project, because all the fire extinguishers need to be addressed. You need to install carbon monoxide detectors because there's gas at the property. You might be able to classify that as a capital expenditure and not an operating expense that hits your NOI. So with that, keep that in mind when you're underwriting, because if you add these items in to your plan based on your accountant's guidelines, that's great. But don't forget about year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5. Fire hydrants. Yes, if there's a fire hydrant on your property, that's your responsibility 9 times out of 10, okay? Which means it's got to be flushed every year. It's got to be inspected. Backflow preventers. I can tell you, I didn't know what a backflow preventer was, but I learned real quick the first time I missed it about 25 years ago, because that was a very expensive learning lesson, because I didn't know what a backflow preventer was to even ask for an inspection. Let me see your inspection for the last 2 years. Gutters and downspouts. They got to be cleaned 2 to 3 times a year, depending on where the property is. Who's going to clean those? Oh, let's have the maintenance team do that. Okay, do we have the harnesses? Do we have the ladders? Do we have all the equipment needed if it's going to be done in-house? You see where I'm going with that? Those are items that have to be done every year. Dryer vent cleaning. I can't tell you how many times we take over a property or we're in due diligence and they can't tell you when the last time the dryer vents were clean. Those are to be cleaned every year. It's number 1 fire hazard, outside of smoking. Number 1, right, JT? Yes, he's shaking his head. Yes. So those are things that are most frequently left out when thinking about contract services.